We've all heard it before. Black don't crack. But what it can do is look ashy and dull and just as horrible and wretched. But not with Go Beautiful. Shop today. GoBeautiful.com. That's Go Beautiful with 2 L's.com with luxurious vegan skincare. No sulfates, no parabens, no carcinogens, and eco-friendly. Get beautiful, honey.
Yes.
You saw all my cavities.
I love it. Welcome back to another episode of the Besties Building Brands podcast. As you saw from one of our co-hosts, Miss Crystal the Connector, and her flawless skin, make sure you check out Go Beautiful for some amazing skincare. We have myself, Khadija. I'm Alter Ego. I have to change that name. I keep forgetting. We have our wonderful podcast manager, Rajay, and we have our special guest, Miss Kanesha Morrison. I met her online years ago, just following her in her makeup journey. And I just thought she was so dope, and just following her story, she's so transparent. So I'm like, we have to get her on the show to encourage our listeners. So Kanesha, can you just introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Yes, I am Kanesha Morrison. I have been an entrepreneur now for almost 10 years. I started out as a 22-year-old pregnant with my third child, Kid. I joined a network marketing company that specializes in skincare and cosmetics, and I wanted to be able to just be at home and make money from my phone while being with my young kids. I didn't have education. I didn't have much money. I didn't have a network really. So I wanted to be able to be present and make it known that no matter where you come from, you can go far as you want it to be. So 10 years has been an amazing ride. We do $2 to $4 million a month in our skincare business. It's almost 200,000 women on the team. It's allowed me to be able to invest in real estate, start other businesses, support entrepreneurs like you guys, and just really be able to expand brands. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and we're excited to have you. So again, like I said, we just want to just encourage our listeners and our viewers, because a lot of them we call them micro businesses, because they're not really making, anything consistently. They're making less than $1,000. They're going through things at home. They're having trouble with their children. Relationship wise, they're still working. So I just want to get into a little bit of your story. So when I met you, I think you had been with Unique probably maybe it was 2 years. I think it was really early on when I started following you. And I had watched you for a few years, and I listened to your story. Can you just tell us what was going on at that time that made you decide, hey, I'm going to take this leap of faith? Because it sounded similar to my story. I was doing this business and doing that business, and then I wanted to do this, but people had already been burnt out kind of from what I was doing. How did you make that work for yourself?
Unique was actually my sixth company, first one that I found success in. And I knew going in that I had already burnt out my network. So I was going to have to learn how to rebuild something completely different as a 22-year-old kid. So because I knew the odds were against me, we were living in very poverty-stricken area. We lived with roaches. It was one of the type of places that you couldn't let your kids go outside and play. So I just became really frustrated. And I remember having an argument with my husband that me and him were sick of just struggling. We were sick of being hand to mouth, sick of not having enough money to do things. And he was like, Kanesha, if anything's going to change in our family, it needs to be you. You're going to have to be the one that changes it. I can't go into work and say, my wife said I'm not making enough money, so add some more to me. So that argument catapulted my business, and I'm so grateful for it because it made me realize I was dependent on him to be able to change my situation, when in reality he was supposed to be my partner enhancing it. He wasn't to save me. And I don't have anything bad to say about Chris. We had 13 beautiful years together, and he's been in the trenches with me this entire time. But a lot of those beginning stages, he worked 50, 60 hours a week, and we had a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and I was pregnant. So I had to figure out too how to put the kids involved in this too. So when I joined, I was the only woman of color. There were two other women of color, but none of them like had the drive that I did at the time or like a big vision. So that's what I would tell you first about business. You got to have a big vision, know where you're going. So when I hit the join button, it was my last hope. I had already did a t-shirt business, burnt out, heat press, couldn't start another one of those. I had done several other network marketing companies and couldn't tell you how to do the comp plan, didn't know how to make a dollar with none of them. But I knew makeup was consumable, which means it went down the drain every night, so it had to be replenished. And on the business side of that, it was instant gratification. They get paid every 3 hours. So I was able to hit both sides of that microwave philosophy. Everybody wants things hot, fast, and now. And I felt like I found the perfect puzzle piece to be able to do that. 2 years in, when I met you, we had to go to the lake. That was the first time we were able to like double our income and have a little bit more freedom. Chris was still working 50 hours a week at that time. And we decided he actually quit his job over a 50-cent raise. He was with a auto part company for 15 years, and it was the annual review. And I know if you got a job, you know what that's all about. You go in, they tell you what you're doing wrong and how you can do things better and how much you're worth. And they told him he was worth 25 cents. He asked for $1. They told him he was worth 25 cents. He asked them to meet them in the middle at 50 cents, and they were like, no. So then he asked to get transferred closer to home because when we moved to the lake house, it was like a 45 hour commute. They wouldn't transfer him. After 15 years, you feel stuck in a box, and he felt unappreciated. And he kind of like made the decision that he was going to come home. And at that time, I was only making like $6,000-7,000 a month. It wasn't a whole lot of money, but it was still enough to be able to replace what he was bringing in. So then I had to like beast mode it a little bit because now I'm getting ready to lose. Although he didn't make much, it was still a contribute to the household. So how am I going to make up the difference of the health insurance and the paycheck that was coming in? So that would be the second business tip I will offer. If you know you want to build a big business and you want to be an entrepreneur and come home and no longer do the side gig, you got to have a plan. You can't just decide, oh, I had two big months and I hit $4,000 2 months, so I'm gonna put my 30-day notice in. Like your bill's gonna still be coming in, ma, after them 60 days is up. So like, how are you going to keep this be a consistent thing? And I really made sure that I was different from everybody else. You could find Kanesha Morrison in the crowd, and at the time, it was about 10 to 15,000 unique presenters, and I was still the only woman of color that was dominating in it. And I made sure that you knew that. And I made sure that my edge was different. While everybody else was going live, putting on their makeup, Kanesha was raw in your face about how you could be bossing up and doing better. Like I made sure that I was so transparent and I kept the story so relatable that whether you were a doctor or you worked at Walmart, you could relate to me. So that would be the third thing. Know who you're talking to. Who's your audience?
And how did you like find the courage to just be so transparent? Because you're very transparent online. I know a lot of people when we talk to them because Crystal does business coaching for us. They don't want to tell their story, and I'm like, that's what kind of makes you different. That's what people buy into. How did you find the courage to do that? Because you had some really high moments and then you had some low moments that you put out there, and you were still bubbly, smiling. We talked about it yesterday. Crystal's been through so much, but when you see her, she's laughing and she's always happy. Like, how did you find the courage and just the spirit to keep going anyway?
For me, I knew that, again, I didn't know makeup. I didn't know skincare. I knew struggle. And that is what sadly, my mom was a single mother of 4 girls. I'm the oldest, so I was the husband. I kept the thing kind of cooking and babysitting, and it empowered me to be independent. So that has actually helped me in business because although I'm very transparent about my story, I am still a very much private person. So like, never see my friend business. I think people think transparent means like spilling all your guts when that's not really true. I tell the same story 50,000 different ways, but the story is still the same. So when you think of transparent, I talk about the roaches. I talk about my daughter passing away. I skipped way over that part of my story. But please know, when you find success or whatever success means to you, that doesn't make you exempt from life happening to you. So after 3 kids, being in business 4 years, we lived on the lake 2 years, bought my dream car, moved to our dream house, was able to get the house custom built, do all the things, making 30, 40, $50,000 a month. I'm balling, can't tell me nothing. We get to the end of the pregnancy, 39 weeks, and my daughter passes away. So, like, how do you go from being on top of the world to down in the trenches? And at the same time, my unique business started going backwards. People started leaving. People was trying to take my team with them. So all the things that I could do to be attacked, I decided to attack back. And the way I was going to do that was going to be very strategic. So instead of bad after them and talking about them, I became a new level of transparent that talked about women empowerment. Like, please knows there's levels to your evolving. And that's kind of like what my new t-shirt line is going to be about. You have to always be evolving and looking for the good. So even though my daughter passed away and I struggled for like 2.5 years very publicly about my struggle with her, and I knew it was using my story to heal other people. So know that too, that your story brings healing to the nation. That's how we're going to heal this nation, is by being understanding that we're all relatable in some way, but also know what your limits are. I know where my boundary is. I talk about my scars, not my wounds, meaning I talk about things that I've already been through, not what I'm currently going through. So example right now of my story, me and my husband are divorced, and he's been gone now probably 3-4 months or a little bit longer. But the way I'm writing the story right now, you would think I'm going through it right now. And I do that intentionally because I don't want my wounds to get infected. Don't talk about things that you know is a trigger point to you right now. If it's a trigger, it's not something you want to talk about. If you can talk about it without crying, that's something you may want to lean into and make that a part of your transparency that you do. But again, have your boundaries. Mine are my kids are off limits. You hardly ever see my kids on my timeline. If you do, it's like my little daughter. You can't even really see her face. It's the back of my kids' heads going in their school. Like, I hardly ever do a full face photo of them except Easter and Christmas. Another hard limit that I have is my friend's business. I may say I talked to a friend today and I got this out of a conversation, but I've never just, Kanesha told me today, blah, blah, blah. You got to know that when you are a certain type of transparent, it can make people standoffish to you because they don't want to be a part of your reality show. Like, people have that option. So you got to know you can't expect you out of other people. That's where those boundaries come in.
Okay. And so how was it being like one of the only women of color when you first started? Was that hard for you? Did you form alliances with the other women of color? Like, how did you like turn that and make it work for yourself instead of saying, well, no, this company isn't for me. Let me go, somewhere else.
I started this business with $100 to my name. So, like, I overdrew my bank account to join this company. So there was no other option for me. However, the other African American that went Black status, which is the top of the company like I am, she joined after me and actually hit Black before me. So I remember feeling like devastation because I wanted to be the first one. And although I was cheering for her, I was so sad for me. And I shared it to say it's okay to still celebrate others and feel the way you feel. So it doesn't, her success doesn't take away from your success, and her success doesn't mean you're a failure. That was the biggest thing I had to learn. So she was incredible. She was a nurse practitioner. Like, she was very opposite story of me. She had an education and all the things. So what I ended up doing, someone started a woman of color group for Unique. And she kind of made me the admin of it because I was one of the top girls, and she just thought I would be a great asset company. And I got this hunger where I didn't want to leave me behind. Like, if you look like me, I didn't want to leave you behind. So I really started pouring into that group and really trying to get them to believe in themselves because they didn't see themselves on the website, don't see themselves on the stage. You're like a unicorn. And that hurt my heart when women would tell me that they thought that they could not do it. So it kind of gave me like that driving force. We have these big things called annual conventions. One convention, I decided to do like a meetup. So we all got together. We took pictures together. It was a great experience. I think maybe 10 of us there. However, of the 10, like 6 of us are still in this company. And I think that's so cool. 8 years later, we're still here. The next year, it got a little bit bigger. We took over the company's letters. We all met there. We took a big photo together, and I invited a corporate employee to come. So, like, I want you to know, like, the vision has to be built over time. You see the ending, but you got to do the baby steps to get there. So it was a group of 10, and then it did a group of 20. And then the next year, I asked corporate if the co-founder could come to the photo op. Well, when I asked for the co-founder, of course, she comes with bodyguards and all these things. So, like, the girls is feeling all really special, and it was maybe like 40 of us. Well, obviously, it's getting too big now where I can't just keep taking a corner of the convention. So then I asked corporate, how can I rent a space in this convention center to be able to have the girls come? And I share that to say, I was not looking for corporate to pay for it because this was my idea. You got to be willing to fund your own dreams sometimes. Stop looking for other people to be able to invest into you. Invest into your own vision, and the people will come. So because I positioned it with, how can I rent this? And where do I send my money to? They came back with, we'll give you guys a luncheon. So they did. Like 60 women came, and it was never public. So it wasn't posted in like the Unique website. Like, this was straight up word of mouth and this women of color group. So the next year they did another luncheon, and I did like matching t-shirts for us. And I also, again, reached out to corporate. Hey, I want to bring the women of color to corporate. I want them to be able to tour this building and feel what I feel when they come in here. So they agreed. They gave me a day. I asked them, how can I block off, hotel rooms? How can I get this chartered bus? I'm asking, how can I? Which in turn told me what they were willing to do. So we took over. I sold 100 tickets. First event ever I had done on that caliber. I figured out all the things when it came to the hotel blocking and all of that. Corporate was so gracious and did lunch for us and also provided dinner. But y'all, I will never get the light bulbs going off in those women as they were running in and out of those offices and actually able to be a part of corporate. So that next convention, we did another luncheon, and I decided to take another step further. I knew if I was going to get diversity in this company, it was no longer going to be me, because at that point I had been here. I had been here like 7 years. Like, I'm still the only woman of color. You know what I mean? Like, you're the unicorn. Why are we listening to you? So I was like, let me add a little bit more fuel to the fire. So June of 2019, I launched this campaign, a t-shirt campaign. It said, beauty has no skin tone. And the message I wanted to send to corporate was, we are loud, we are proud, and we are here. To the field, and it's like 2.3 million presenters at this point. I do a live wearing the t-shirt. I go into the women of color group. I do a live in there telling them to go to their groups about the t-shirt. Any unique group that I was allowed to post in, I posted in about this t-shirt. T-shirt was $15, and I made it US on purpose. So in order for them to be able to get it, they had to order it from Amazon. So it was, accessible to all people. Whatever you're offering has to be accessible to everyone. It can't just be your demographic. So I knew I wanted it to be US only, because although I love my international people, my issue is here in America. And if I want diversity for my 5 kids, I have to be able to use my voice for that. We end up selling like 10,000 t-shirts from the US. And when we all running around, because we can only have 10,000 people in this vineyard of corporate, which meant every single unique presenter at that event bought a t-shirt. So it made corporate be like, how can we get a t-shirt? I want to be a part of the t-shirt. How do I get the t-shirt? So I'm sending free t-shirts to corporate. Like, that was my way of saying, I know you see me now. You can't ignore people that look like you. Now the Caucasian community is telling you beauty has no skin tone. I know for a fact, had that not happened before Black Lives Matter, it'll look like I was doing some type of racism type of thing. But the fact that I launched this well before George Floyd and the whole big movement that happened, it was able to be a little bit more respected. So I brought the campaign back around when George Floyd came up, and we sold another 6,000 t-shirts. It made corporate have to partner with me. So when they partnered with me, they started their own Beauty Has No Skin Tone campaign. In turn, it ended up raising almost $150,000 to the United States injustice system for the Urban League to be able to get us to get the type of rapport that we need to get the reform in the injustice system. For those of you that don't know a piece of my story, my father has been in prison for 18 years. He calls me every day. Very phenomenal father. I'm very proud of him and all that he's accomplished. So this was huge to me for them to make this size of donation.
Wow. So Aaliyah from the audience, she said she loved when you said happy for her and sad for myself. So honest. Have a wonderful show. Looks and sounds amazing. And that is so awesome. I always talk about creating your own lane, bringing your own table, not asking for a seat, but creating your own lane. And you pretty much carved out your own lane and made your own space and said, hey, I'm here. You see me. I love that. So we're just going to take one break.
Thank you for tuning in to Betsy's Building Brands podcast. If you're interested in being a guest or having your business advertised on our podcast, please send an email to podcastmanager@bestiesinbiz.com. After the show, don't forget to head over to Facebook and Instagram to subscribe to our page, Besties Building Brands.
And you have a podcast too, right? You want to talk about your podcast?
Sure. You can find me on Tuesdays on my business page at www.facebook.com/lashes y'all. I do a testimonial podcast every Tuesday called Testify Tuesday, where I just go over life hacks, trips, tips, and things that I've learned through my little 30 years of life. And I use the platform to be able to just bring awareness that you're not alone. I talk about the taboo subjects. I talk about the things that everybody needs. And it has really taken off too, because again, it goes back to that transparency. When I've learned that's my superpower. Like, learn your superpower, lean into it, and take off with it, because only you can tell your story the way you can.
Do you have anybody that you would say inspires you?
My dad is the biggest inspiration to me. I don't know how you can sit in the box watching the clock for 18 years and not lose your mind. And he's done it. So, like, when I look at his situation, I don't have nothing to be mad about. And the greatest advice that I could give and that's been given is from him: if money can change your situation, you don't have problems. So I keep that in my gratitude every day.
Crystal, Rajay, do you have any questions?
I don't know if you answered this while I was gone, but you said that when you started, you were really down, and I know there's multiple downs that you had to go through. What got you back up when you went down?
My first down was my daughter. My first big down, I would say, because up until Unique taking off, down was kind of all I knew. So survival mode kind of took me through that. And I learned how to survive to profit off of the survival. And then after my daughter passing, it gave me a different outlook of life. Obviously, I created this lavish lifestyle at this point. So it was either go back to what I knew or keep grinding. I learned through that being broke ain't cute. Like, ain't no point in being depressed and broke. So I was just gonna be depressed and paid. Like that's kind of what kept me going.
Okay, I like that. Depressed. Look, that's a shirt right there. Depressed and paid.
Right. I know that being, I talked about my experience last night and the fact that, I'm going to say this until y'all make a t-shirt for me. I'm going to be 50 this year. Hello, somebody.
Yes.
And I have lived life, and in living my life, there's a lot of experiences that we go through, experiences that we've had. And when people talk about you being so strong, and yesterday I said, I'm strong because I don't know how not to be strong. That's all I have. I have to be strong because I have 5 children. I have 3 children with special needs, and I need to do this. And when women who are going through, like you talk about, I'm always smiling. You will never know. And Kanesha, you didn't know what I was going through when you inboxed me that one time. You was like, oh my God, I had no idea. It's like, yeah, I'm not that type. to be on social media and you would know, because I know that I have things to do. And being a mom, the thing to do is making sure the children are fed, making sure they're hydrated, making sure the pamper is changed, making sure there's not poop on the wall, making sure their underarms don't stink. So we're in this like crisis mode. What would you and I say this a lot to women, that we anything is possible, and we can all do something. We can all live our best life. And the best life is not necessarily the glitz and glamour you see on social media. The best life isn't, oh, I need to have this mansion. The best life is what's best for you. So what advice would you give, because you were a young mom starting out? I think we were all young mothers starting out. I'm most seasoned. What advice would you give women who are in their going through stages, their struggles, their lows, their highs? What would you tell them?
My biggest thing has been therapy. I have had a therapist since I was 17 years old. I go every week. I have not missed a week in 11 years. And to touch on what you said about having to be strong, like you felt like that was your only option. I don't feel like that's my only option. I have weekdays, and I talk about my weekdays and I express them, because I know if I don't allow myself to feel, I become numb. And when I become numb, I turn into like this working robot, which isn't healthy for me or for my kids or for anyone, because I'm a Capricorn. That's what we do. We work. So as soon as like life experiences rise up, that's the first natural reaction is to get to work. So for me, I know that being weak is a choice and being strong is a choice. Getting out of bed each day is a choice. And women have to learn to celebrate the fact that you choose the hard for that day. The hard may simply be to get out of bed. So for young moms, I was 18 years old when I had my first son, and I allowed one day a week where my house could just be a mess, where I didn't have to be perfect and he didn't have to be perfect. So he could be a baby and tear up everything, play with his toys. I could be on the floor. I can watch Lifetime all day while he playing in the floor. It doesn't make you a bad mom because you didn't do the laundry or because your kitchen isn't clean. It makes you a bad mom when you get in your own head, because you know who gets to decide if you're a good mom or a bad mom? You. Your kids. They're the only ones that can tell you what they thought about you. Nobody else can give you that. So at the end of the day, I know that I am the best Kanesha that I could be, 18, 25, 28, 30. If Sakai gets to be, 30 years old, he says, Mom, you such a mother, I can honestly look him in his face and say, Sakai gave you the best mother I could be. And that's all I can do. So day by day, minute by minute, and celebrate the small wins. If you got out of bed and brushed your teeth today, be happy. One of the things that I wish that we could change the stigma on is we have a double standard when it comes to women's responsibility versus men. For whatever reason, women think taking a shower is a privilege. Like, I don't understand the thought process behind us always coming last, but then getting upset because nobody else puts us first. So like, that's my whole new big spiel I'm on right now. So just know being strong is an option. Being a young mother does not discourage you. You can now make money from your phone. You have different opportunity now being a young mother than you did when my mother was a young mother. Back in her day, if you didn't have an education, you was going to be working at McDonald's. Versus now, whether you got an education or not, you could be a millionaire working from your phone. So just knowing that you create your own destiny, your babies are only going to be small one time. And I promise you, you're not going to traumatize them because they get to go to Disney because you're a young mother. Like, get out of your head with this big old, I don't get to travel, my kids don't get to see the world, I don't this, I don't that. That was my big thing as a young mother. Oh my gosh, Sakai's 5 and he's never going to Disney. He wasn't going to remember it no way. Like, it don't even matter. It was just a picture to say that I did it. We have to learn to take the stigma off of what should be, because whatever is meant to be is already going it. What's for you won't pass you.
And I was watching the documentary with Michelle Obama, right? And she was looking at Barack, and she was so frustrated. Like, he was going to the gym, he was doing this, he was doing that, and she was sitting there like, don't you know we had these kids? Help me with these kids. Help me with the homework. Help me do this. And she said she had to realize, like, I could just go to the gym. Like, I could do those things. Like, he doesn't have anything to do with my happiness. Once I stop looking for him his input on what I was doing, like their relationship got better and she started being happy. I'm so glad you touched on that, because yeah, like there is like, oh, you do get it. Well, my husband personally, he said that to me a lot. You have plenty of time to do things. Well, I technically don't really. I mean, because I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but that's because he sees the shower and me going to the supermarket as a privilege, as a treat, because the kids aren't here. And like you said, as women, we have to take back our authority and the fact that we control our happiness. And I'm just so glad that you were on the show. I'm hoping that everybody listening found some bit of encouragement or motivation somewhere in the show. Her website is scrolling across the bottom. It's KaneshaMorrison.com, KANESHA. Any last words from anybody? One, positive message you want to send out before we wrap? Rajay, Crystal, Kanesha.
My positive message is be the best you, and the best you is for you. No one else, just you. Because I told this to my daughter, who's 18, y'all, that the decisions that she makes only affects her. Mm-hmm. She has to be happy. She has to be happy, and you have to be happy. And I say this to myself every day. I have to be happy with my choices that I make. I have to be happy for me. Because even though as a mom, we're doing things for our children, if I'm not here, then what? If I'm not happy, kids ain't happy. Mm-hmm. And they do, and they see the happiness in me. They even think I got a secret boyfriend, y'all. I don't, but if there's someone out there.
No. Boyfriend stuck. No. I'll be a Facebook joke. I'm sorry.
You're right. You just got out of jail. Stop playing. Stop trying to downplay my dating show.
Oh God. Kanesha, I think Rajay stepped away for a moment. Anyway,
I'm here. Yes. I'm here. I just have my kid decided to come on screen, so.
Go ahead.
But the one thing I just want to say is, for me, with my downfalls, to give advice back is find others that are like you that you can grow from. Like for me, just hearing all of your guys' stories honestly helps me in the downfall I'm in right now. Like I've learned, I was wondering, how do I get out? How do I stop so hard on myself? And I have to let go of the bad and start looking at the good. So really, your words today really touched me. So I'm thankful that I was able to hear it today, because it's something I needed to hear. I was struggling. Like I'm getting up every day, but it's like I'm not taking care of myself, which falls back on my kids. So I want to say thank you so much for today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I would end with, it takes the same amount of energy to find a solution as it does to find a complaint. There is a solution to every problem that you have. And if you can't change what's going on around you, you sure can change what's happening within you.
All right. Well, this was a great show. My final words would be just like I said yesterday. I'm not Superwoman, and you don't have to be. I think I'm Batman. My kids know that. We have tools that we can use to help us, but we are not superheroes. So take some time for yourself, ladies. Reach out to Kanesha on her website, and check out all that she's offering. Make sure you connect with us at bestiesinbiz.com. Before we go, Crystal, I do want you to talk about our fundraiser, and then we will
Okay, our fundraiser is for Go Beautiful Idea, which is the Intellectual Disabilities Employment/Education Agency. We're helping young adults who are living with an intellectual disability, which is autism, Down syndrome, slight MR, to be trained and gainfully employed. You can click the link in, it's on our website, Kanesha?
What's our website? It's a PayPal link you can click to donate.
Yeah, PayPal link to donate. If you know an agency who is doing the same thing, or any individual that is working with individuals with disabilities, please have them reach out to us. We would love to connect with you in any city, in every city, because those young people are also our future, and they deserve and are entitled to a chance. So think of it as it says, IDEA, IDAEA.
I can't even spell.
IDEA. Thank you, ladies, for another wonderful show. And we will see you guys on Thursday. We have a special show on Thursday. So we'll see you on Thursday. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thank you, Kanesha.